You know, you got to be working with the police.
Welcome back to Hot Topics TV, y'all. Y'all already know if the topic is hot, we're on it. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and let's get right into this one. So, as you know, right now, Death Row Records is now owned outright by none other than Snoop Dogg. Yes, we're talking about the infamous Death Row Records that was once ran with an iron fist by the notorious Suge Knight. Suge Knight's currently doing a whole lot of time in prison. By the time he gets out of prison, if he is still alive, he'll be up in age. Okay? And at the moment, everybody is saying, damn, Suge must be punching air right now. So I goes over to Hip Hop DX and I grant you some information right here, but then I'll give you my personal opinion. So there was a time when former Death Row Records CEO Suge Knight and Snoop Dogg's relationship was nearly fractured beyond repair. When the first time when Suge Knight was sentenced to 9 years in prison at the height of Death Row Records' success, Snoop Dogg took that as his moment to get the fuck up out of Dodge. Snoop ran. Okay, he got up out of there. If you were back then around that time paying attention to what was going on, he actually ended up way down south, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, with Master P and the Tank. That's Master P's movement. Snoop actually came out and said that, man, listen, I was working against the devil. I had to get the fuck up out of there. And it was through the grace of God and Master P that Priority Records put a deal together on a table for me that was suitable for me, that saved me. But these two notorious figures have, over the years, buried the hatchet, according to him, right? So there's no bad beef. I don't know about all that. I think there's still some kind of bad beef. What I think happened, though, was this. And I know if Suge Knight's son hears this, he's probably going to say it's bullshit. But when somebody gets so big and so iconic that you can't hold them back anymore, then it's out of your control. You just got to respect their gangster. And that's what happened to Snoop. Snoop Dogg was a natural star. There was no way that Suge Knight was going to hold him back. Even though it was Death Row Records and Suge Knight that launched him into superstardom, but Snoop became household name on his own, through his own wits, through his own dealings. You understand? And there was nothing that Suge could do about how big Snoop was becoming. And in the meantime, as Snoop's popularity was growing and Snoop was maturing over the years and gathering and saving his dollars and cents and investing and diversifying his portfolio and becoming wealthy, Suge Knight was on a downward spiral. Snoop said, I ain't never hated him. That's what he said. You know, they really tried to, do whatever they tried to do to me back then, but I don't have that in me. That ain't in my system. I'm not about the hate. But for some reason, people seem to keep on glossing over the fact that we mended that friendship. We already got past all that. I sat down and had a talk with him. We're good. We're not enemies. Right? Speaking to TMZ, Suge Knight's son made sure that he came out to set the record straight. And he said this, I'm happy, just like everyone else. I kind of knew beforehand that this was going to happen, that Snoop Dogg was going to take over Death Row Records and full ownership of it. I don't know how he knew that, but he knew. He said that this to me is like a silent victory because I spoke of all these executives, or I spoke to all these executives myself, and I pitched the ideas for merchandising and for rebranding. So now to see it fall in the hands of Snoop, I'm happy it's coming back to the West Coast. Hopefully now we can start winning. We lost Nipsey Hussle. We lost Kobe Bryant. We lost a lot of things. Well, bro, listen. The West Coast, yes, Kobe. Kobe is like more international than West Coast. But of course, he played for the team that represents the West Coast, right? And Nipsey, of course, repped the West all the way out, but he was never signed to Death Row. So, with that said, Death Row Records had become defunct. There was no poppin' artist on the charts right now in today's modern music that was being produced out of Death Row Records. When you saw big artists, it ain't like back in the day. Back in the day, you had Tupac Shakur, you had Snoop Dogg, you had the Dog Pound, you had Daz Goes, you had like so many artists were popping off one label. It was like the most powerful label next to Puffy and Bad Boy in the music industry. That's what I'm talking about. So it hasn't been that for Death Row in a long time. Now, Suge Knight's son says, even after my dad went to jail, we started losing. Hopefully we start winning with the Rams and start winning now. And if you watch the Super Bowl, you will know who won the Super Bowl. So they won, the West won, and it is what it is at that point. I've seen the comments that think Suge Knight's punching the air, but nah, we cool. He's speaking for him and his dad. Like, nah, we cool. I'm sorry, I think Suge's still punching the air. I think he is still. Death Row was Suge Knight's baby, man. Death Row was Suge Knight's baby. For him to lose it because of all the trouble he got into, and he had to liquidate his assets to get himself up out of trouble, and still ended up in prison with mad years, like 2 decades and change. And then to see somebody who was under him. Snoop was considered to be under him. You're an artist. You make music and you get money, right? I'm a boss. I own a label and I tell artists what to do. It was the kind of attitude. So now to see Snoop elevate to where you used to be and you're nowhere around. You're taken out of society doing time in prison for a long time to come. You got to be punching the damn air. He might not be punching the air because he's mad that Snoop got the label, even though I think he is. That's a slap in the face. That's like seeing your baby mama with your enemy. That's like seeing your baby moms that you treated really bad, that could have been the one that you let get away, and then you see a buster-ass enemy wifing her up, treating her good and giving her everything, and she is happy as a pig in shit. That hurts. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I think he's punching the air. And even if he ain't punching the air because Snoop got the label, he must be punching the air because of all the mistakes that he made in his lifetime to put him where he's at. Just think about it. If he had stayed on a straight and narrow, I'm talking about Suge Knight. If Suge Knight had stayed on a straight and narrow, managed his business and business only, without all that other tough guy shit and that gangster stuff and violence and all that, imagine what he could have been today. He could have been something like Sony Records. You know what I'm saying? But he threw all that away. So you got to be punching the air. Because of your mistakes, you are now watching those who were under you come above you. Pause. His son said, man, people just don't understand that. And I hope people understand that we're not punching the air. We're working. Hopefully, we're all on the same page. Now, I don't know about all that. I bet money on it. Snoop still got a little bit of resentment in his heart. Suge Knight was whooping ass over at Death Row. Y'all ain't heard them stories from Danny Boy, and Danny Boy ain't the first or the only one to tell them kind of stories. You know what I'm saying? There was producers over there getting their ass beat because they couldn't get the beat right. And I said that before. And we've heard these stories before. There were artists over there that were getting their ass beat because they couldn't come up with a verse fast enough. That kind of stuff. Or they made a song and he didn't think the song was hitting. So he's like, you waste my goddamn time and resources. I got to pay this engineer. I lock you in the studio all night. And this the bullshit you come up with. Beat his ass. It was rough over there. And I don't know if Snoop got his ass beat once or twice. But I'm willing to bet that he saw somebody he cared about get their ass beat over there and he thought it wasn't right. And he probably thought in the back of his mind that, you know what? One day I'm going to work my ass off, and one day things will fall into place and I'll be where you're at, man. And here it is. Time is the master. Time is the master. According to a press release, Snoop Dogg recently acquired Death Row brand from MNRK Music Group, formerly E1 Music, which is controlled by a private equity fund that is managed by leading global investment firm Blackstone. Now, although terms of the deal were not disclosed because they're not telling the public like how much money was paid, exchanged hands, listen to this. Hasbro Toy Company purchased MNRK Music Group in 2019 for $4 billion. That's $4 billion with a B. $4 billion. And inadvertently became the new owner of Death Row. That's 2019. In April of 2021, Hasbro announced that it had sold MNRK. Remember, they purchased it for $4 billion, right? They announced in 2019 they bought it. In 2021, they announced that they sold it to MNRK Music Group to Blackstone for $385 million in cash. I want to ask who the got $385 million in cash, but that's a whole nother story. Suggesting, though, that the label was not friggin' cheap. I know a lot of people are saying, where Snoop get all that money from? Hey, man, Snoop's been in the game for a minute. Y'all don't remember Snoop canoodling with Martha Stewart? Huh? Y'all thought Snoop money was small? Snoop been working and saving. Snoop been investing and diversifying his portfolio. Snoop's been had it on his mind to create generational wealth like Shaquille O'Neal. And these are the kind of people that he actually hangs around and does business with or takes advice from. So it's no surprise that he's able to own this. Snoop said, "I'm thrilled and appreciative for the opportunity to acquire this iconic and culturally significant Death Row Records brand, which has immense untapped future value." Future value. Don't let that go over your head, he said in a statement. And it feels good to have ownership of the label I was a part of at the beginning of my career and as one of the founding members of it. This is an extremely meaningful moment for me. Again, Suge Knight punches the fucking air because Suge is like, meaning what? Founding member? Nigga, you wasn't no founding member. You were a goddamn artist on my label. You know who founded Death Row Records. But, hey, you in prison for the next 28 years. So anybody could say whatever the hell they want to say. Because who's going to check me? You're not coming out no time soon, right? And it is what it is. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Leave your comments in the comment section below. And tell me if you think that Suge Knight's got to be punching air right now for the fact that that label, which was his baby, is now owned by Snoop Dogg. Or do you think that it's all good and he's smiling and he's happy that Snoop took over Death Row Records? I'll catch you on the next video, man. It's Hot Topics TV. You already know if the topic is hot, what? We're on it. I'm out. Peace.